Hello there guys, and welcome back to Civilization 5, hopefully trying to take England through to a domination victory. In the last video I declared war against the Kelts, maybe a little bit early, but I stand by the decision. The main drawback of doing it this early is I still don't actually have any catapults or archers, which means it's very difficult for me to actually attack their city. However, providing I can just kill off any settlers, workers, or individual melee units they produce, I should actually be able to keep them under control, which means even if I don't manage to take their capital city out straight away, I should be able to put them far enough back that it really screws their game up. So we did get these workers, which belonged to the Celts, that I managed to capture. In fact, they were actually their settlers that I captured, and they became workers. What I'm going to do with them, of course, is take them back to my territory and sell them. I think I've actually got enough workers to work the tiles I have for the time being, and it's actually putting us in a gold flow negative, which I don't particularly want or need at the moment. So what I am going to do is try and scout out a little bit more land. It might be difficult because there are barbarians nearby, but there's not an awful lot of places that my scouts can go at the moment. Let's get the science panel back up, because we are working our way through to optics so we can get the great lighthouse. That, for me on this game, I've considered to be one of the most important wonders I can get, because playing as England we do get a +2 movement bonus to all of our naval units, and the Great Lighthouse would give us an extra one on top, so that will be brilliant. So going to honour, we have another point to spend. I'm going to put it into aristocracy, which will give us 15% production when building wonders, which is brilliant because we are one turn away from being able to build the Great Lighthouse, so we're definitely going to do that. We're going to carry on moving our scouts. We know there are barbarians over here, so we do have to be careful, but I'd like to scout that area out as quickly as I can. I'm leaving my guys here because I want them to get nicely healed up.
You made an instrument to know if the moon.
And there we go. We have optics. We are in the classical era. What I'm also going to do, actually, is I'm going to take my general and bring him over here. He's decided he's going to embark, because that's the quickest way over, and put him on my spearmen to give him a bit of protection, and that will give him some. That will give my soldiers a little bit of extra combat strength. Now, the main reason I want to do that is because I want to be able to take out their any units they produce, and we're going to use the terrain and all of our upgrades to our advantage. Now we have the Great Lighthouse. And before we start worrying about the statue of Zeus, as nice as it would be to have, it's going to take us quite a while to build the Great Lighthouse anyway. We are going to go for archery, because we want the archers. And we're also going to want to get catapults as quickly as possible as well. Which does mean going through animal husbandry, so we can get the wheel, and then we can go into catapults. But we will play it one step at a time. We won't have the granary for another 3 turns. I think it's fine to let that complete. Of course, we are going to upset Kathmandu here by hopping through their territory. Again. But we'll allow that to happen. These workers have now finished that silver mine. So I'm going to take them over here and get them to build a farm. In fact, even though we are losing gold per turn, I might well just use these workers just to quickly make another farm here. The quicker we can get London to grow, the more quickly we can produce our wonder, and the more quickly we can get a couple of extra tiles worked. So, trespassing in Kathmandu, yeah, we were aware of that. So let's get a couple of farms going here. Let's get out of Kathmandu. And instantly we see 2 lots of barbarians. Now, technically we can fight them as scouts if we just duck down and don't actually attack them directly, if we just go defensive. Okay, so the Celts want to offer peace. I've got no interest in doing that at the moment, because normally if the AI offers you peace, it's because they feel that they are losing. So what I'm going to do, I am going to put these scouts onto fortify, which means if these barbarians come and attack us, we should have a bit of a defensive bonus. You should be able to take them out that way. It is quite possible to do. And our warriors have healed up nicely. But I still can't attack yet, but I do want to keep my eye on them. So what I am going to do... Okay, so they've got some workers, and then I'm just going to pop back out. So I've had a quick sneaky look just to see what they've got. Let's go on to the next turn. General has arrived. Great Library has been built in a land far away. That's a little bit of a shame. The Great Library is very nice to have, mainly for the extra science, but we can live without it. We can now produce the Great Lighthouse. Now, it's going to take a colossal 27 turns before we can complete that, but it's probably the most important thing we're going to get to build, so definitely want to do that right away. Spearmen have now also fully healed up. I'm going to bring the spearmen down to here and put the general on top of them. They should be safe there because they are far enough away that Edinburgh can't do anything to hurt them, really. Put these guys on alert. Oh, look. They appear to have some warriors. Well, we can definitely deal with those. I thought they had some more around somewhere. They were out exploring. So who do we give the experience to? Do we give it to our spearmen or do we give it to our warriors? Well, we've got to be careful here because we would be on a hill. But we can certainly move up there. We're going to move our general as well. And we're going to move these warriors in. Now, if we attack, it will be a stalemate, but we are going to attack anyway and weaken them up. Bear in mind, we do have a few bonuses. We've got our Great General, which gives us 15% bonus. We have a flanking bonus, which gives us 10%, and we have a rough terrain bonus, which gives us 15%. They do get 25% terrain modifier because they are on a hill, but so are these guys now. And also, they have rough terrain defense bonus, so they obviously have drill as well. So, hopefully on the next... Oh, they're fortifying. That is interesting. Well, we have archery now, anyway. We may end up having to build an archer, which means we need to sort our gold issue out. Now, we would get a minor victory if we attacked with our spearmen, so we're going to do that. And then we're going to try and soften them up a little bit more with our warriors. So we should be able to take them out on the next turn. Now, another issue they're going to have is how far they can move. The problem they've got is... I mean, obviously we're in hills anyway, but assume you're on flat terrain. It doesn't matter how many units of movement you have. If you are next to enemy units, you can only move one tile. So if this was flat land, this was flat land, and this was flat land, normally they would be able to move into this hex here. But because they're adjacent to enemy units, they would only be able to move to this hex. Even though this land here is flat, they could move into this hex, but they couldn't move into this one or up onto one of these hills because they will literally use all of their movement in one move because they're next to enemy units. Now, that same applies if you're next to an enemy city as well, so that is something that is worth bearing in mind. We have finished archery. Now, animal husbandry could be useful, but to be honest, we don't really have any pastures or anything nearby. But we do need to get the wheel, so that's probably the next most important thing. A little bit pointless going for Statue of Zeus. We can research that in 8 turns, but what's the point? Because it's going to take us about 25 turns to complete the Great Lighthouse. So we're going to go down the route of getting the wheel, and then mathematics so we can get into catapult. We need to be able to get that as quickly as possible now. Our Great General is just going to do nothing, because why would he? And we'll end the turn there. Of course, they're still fortified, which means they heal a little bit more health. We'll get a minor victory here. Of course, we're still fighting uphill. Now we should be able to finish them off with our warriors and get ourselves another promotion here. We don't have much left, but wasn't quite enough. Well, we'll get the promotion on the end of the next turn. And our general is going to snooze. So let's go on to the next turn. And there we go. The unit promotion as expected. So what do? Do we double up on drill, or do we give them shock? I mean, there's quite a lot of rough terrain around. I think what we're going to do for the time being is double up on drill. And we're going to get these units to fortify until healed, get them back up to full health. And these workers are now done, so you're going to go over here and work on another mine. You guys are done, so what I want to do with you is sell you. That'll give me an instant 17 gold. Just going to have a quick look and see where my scouts are. Okay, so there are barbarians nearby. Doesn't mean to say they're going to attack, but we'll see if they do and see what happens with that. Now, just remind myself how much... Right, what tiles are we working first? We're working the food, and we are working the silver mine, so we're getting a little bit of extra gold there. I don't need to have that locked at the moment. Reset tiles. There we go. Now it's preferring to work the food instead of the production, although we could shave 2 turns off the Great Lighthouse by working that tile, so we probably should. How much does it cost to purchase an archer? 200 gold. Not quite there yet, and we're not making any at the moment, so obviously I'm not going to interrupt my Great Lighthouse for anything at the moment. We're just going to have to deal with that and see how it goes. We now have enough faith to found a pantheon. So let's look what we could go for. Well, 10% faster growth rate can be useful. But in a game where you are playing Domination and you're going to end up with a lot of cities, faster growth can also infect your happiness. 50% production of ancient and classical wonders, well, that could be quite useful. But it's only going to be useful for a short period of time. The good thing with the 10% faster growth rate is it's one of the few pantheons that are actually useful from the start of the game right through until the end. A lot of them are only useful really... sort of early on. Well, not a lot of them, but many of them are. Let's have a look what we can get. Faster border growth can be nice. Culture from jungle tiles. Happiness from cities and rivers. There's nothing really here that affects combat apart from healing 30 hit points per turn if adjacent to friendly territory. So I think what we are going to go for is we will go for fertility rights, because I find it's a good all-round pantheon to have, and me having that stops other people having it as well. So you guys are going to go ahead and build another mine there. That will give us some extra production when that is finished. Still at the bottom of the scoreboard, which is not really a surprise. It often happens at the beginning of a game on King difficulty. What you have to remember on King difficulty is you're actually playing with a handicap. So if you're playing on Prince, which is the normal difficulty, you play with sort of a level playing field. I mean, the AI always gets bonuses anyway. But if you play anything less than Prince, then you get bonuses and benefits. If you are playing above Prince, then you start to get handicaps. So we do have some horses, typically, which means we'll have to rip up one of those farms, but we're not too bothered about doing that right now. We can do that a little bit later on, but at least we have them. Now, let's just have a quick look over here. We did get attacked by these barbarians, but as you can see, we actually came out with more health. That's because we're fortified, and they are not. And also, we're going to heal hit points per turn, like we just have. If they choose to attack again, they will most probably be killed. So I'm just hitting next turn because we're at one of those points where I can't really do anything. She still wants peace. I am going to keep refusing that. Keep the pressure on. Because look, they've brought some more settlers out for us to kill. So let's just go and have a look here. Thank you very much. We'll go and sell those and get another 17 gold. On to the next turn. This is the reason I'm doing this. I don't want them to keep settling cities. Mainly because they're settling towards me. I mean, obviously I can capture them, but the less cities I have to capture, the better. So there are some workers. Go over here where I can sell you. You guys can continue to heal. And you guys can just go on to alert now in case they decide they're going to try and send any more settlers out in this direction. Quite happy with how that worked out, to be honest. I didn't expect they were just going to throw those additional units at me. So we might as well go over here and build the pasture next. We will lose the farm, but we were going to make up for that by the fact that we have the fertility rights pantheon now. Workers have arrived here. Oh no, the great lighthouse has been built in a land far away. That is really, really annoying. Okay, first of all, delete these units. I'm really annoyed by that. I honestly thought I would get there before anybody else. Somebody must have really rushed towards optics to get that. I don't know who's got it. One thing I can do, though, of course, is if I find out who has it and I capture the city that it's in, I will, in fact, get it. So, wait a minute. Does that look like a great lighthouse to you? Because that looks like a great lighthouse to me. I think Edinburgh may well have the great lighthouse here. And if that's the case, then that's all the more reason for taking Edinburgh. I'm not sure if I'll be able to actually check whether they've got it or not. If we look in the diplomacy overview, global politics, yeah, we can't see. Maybe it wasn't them. I mean, they definitely were building it because we can see it there. So they definitely were building it, but somebody else may well have been as well. These barbarians are getting ripped to pieces. So we can't build the great lighthouse, so what are we going to do? Well, the first thing we're going to do then is we are going to build ourselves an archer. Let's go on to the next turn. Now, we also get some gold, and that's because if you do spend production on a wonder, and then that wonder you get beaten to that wonder, the production you've spent on it gets converted into gold and given back to you, so it never becomes wasted production. Can't see the Great Lighthouse here anymore. It has disappeared, so it probably wasn't Edinburgh either, but it definitely looks like they were working their way towards it. Barbarians haven't attacked us on this turn, which is quite strange. So again, just have a quick look in and peek back out. We need some range before we can do anything. A couple more people have founded pantheons.
Wisdom and virtue.
We have the wheel. These guys are just going to go back onto alert. Click next turn again. Now we're working on mathematics. Now mathematics is going to take quite a while, but that will allow us to get catapults, which will certainly make it easier to go up against Edinburgh. We have now produced our archer. So, got a couple of things that we could go for. We could go for the Temple of Artemis, which would be nice, because it would give us a better growth rate and extra production when building ranged units, and we're certainly going to be building a lot of ranged units. The Mausoleum of Halicarnassus is nice, but we do only have one stone in the area, so it's not going to be all that useful for us. Tempting to go for the temple, but it is usually one of the ones that usually gets built quite quickly. So the chances are we could end up spending some turns trying to build one of those and it doesn't work out for us. We do, of course, need to get cargo ship up and running as soon as possible so that we can get ourselves some trade going. We've probably got enough distance to trade with Zurich, actually. I will try for the Temple of Artemis just to see how it goes. If it doesn't, we can always just spend the gold and purchase the cargo ship. So let's get our archers down here where they're going to be a bit more useful. Now, start things like founding a religion and building wonders are a good way to get your score up. And obviously, because I've managed to fail in building the one wonder that I really wanted to rush to, it becomes very, very difficult. Maybe I should have gone a bit more production focused, but I don't really think I could have gone to it any quicker than I did, realistically. Whichever AI I managed to get, that must have beelined straight to it. But again, bear in mind that the AI does get bonuses on this difficulty level, and I get a handicap, which means that the AI would be getting more production per turn than I would be. So we're still losing gold again. Obviously, we've got extra units now, which is the main reason for that. Unit needs orders. You have finished the pasture. So let's go over here and 27 turns until we grow again. So I think we need to go and build another farm. Let's go on to the next turn. Got our archers nice and close now. Unit needs orders. Yep, it's you guys. Going to move them here for a bit better vision. Of course, they're still out of range of the city because the city only has a range of 2. Now, we could attack these guys now. It would be a minor victory, but it still would be a victory. Obviously, they're not trying to attack us, so let's do that. Let's go on to the next turn. She's going for peace again. I'm going to keep refusing because the longer she spends at war, the more difficult it's going to make it for her. Obviously, I still am at the bottom of the scoreboard, but right above me are the Celts. They are not in a good position. And just as I thought, we have a promotion for our scouts. Now we can give them an extra +1 visibility range, or 5 hit points healed per turn outside of friendly territory, and 25% defense. Always the best one to go for, and we can wipe out those guys there. What we'll do then is we will withdraw back into the forest on the next turn, and we will heal up, and then hopefully they'll send these guys at us and we'll get a bit more of a promotion from them. So you guys can go on alert too. We're just basically blockading their city at the moment, so that if they try and send any settlers out, we can stop that from happening. We're going to build a farm here and move on to the next turn. So we're already 70 turns in of a 500 turn game, and we haven't been able to wipe anybody out yet. But by the time you start getting into the later turns, a single turn lasts like about half an hour. So things really do... the early turns are always quite empty, unless you're micromanaging every individual unit. Right, okay, we've got our scouts, and they have gone back into the forest, so we'll fortify them up there. Go on to the next turn. These guys do definitely appear to be moving forwards. Indeed they are. They are attacking as well. Obviously I only fortified on this turn, which means I only get a 25% defensive bonus, but because they're staying fortified, they will get a 50% bonus on the next turn, and they should heal a little bit more as well. So let's just have a look. Yeah, we do get a heal. We're now 50% fortified. Plus, of course, we've got our survivalism extra 25% defense there. So as you can see, they took 35 damage. We only took 18. We gained XP. Let's click it again. We heal a little bit more. Are they going to attack on this turn? They chose not to, oddly enough. Okay, so we can have another social policy. So what should we go for? Free culture building in the first 4 cities, not necessarily needed right now. Range combat strength in cities, again, not really needed because we're not being under attack, but that is something we will need at some point. So, plus 15% combat strength for melee units which have another military unit in adjacent tile. That one is becoming more and more feasible for us. Military units gain 50% more experience from combat, which is also really good. But being able to get down these things is really nice. So each city with a garrison increases local happiness by 1 and culture by 2. That stacks up quite nicely with if you have oligarchy, because garrisoned units cost no maintenance. So if you've got 10 cities, you can put 10 units, 1 in each city. You get 10 units that would be maintenance free, and you'd also get happiness and extra culture from having them there. So we are going to start by putting that in discipline. And you should be able to see that instantly. If we look at these units here, you can now see, where are we? Discipline, yeah, 15% combat strength when adjacent to a friendly unit, which we are. Don't have anyone that we can attack, but you'd be able to see that. As you can see, near Great General, 15%, adjacent friendly unit, 15%. So we are certainly giving ourselves some extra attack power. I think I'm going to let these guys heal up for at least 1 more turn. Who knows, the barbarians might even decide to throw themselves at us again. Not doing too well on the science here. The barbarians did not attack us, but we are going to go in, see what happens. Well, they're nearly dead. If they attack us on the next turn, they're dead. If they don't run away and we attack them on the next turn, they're dead. I'm very surprised that this isn't giving us some bonuses with Kathmandu, to be honest. So we could give them another 5% hit points, another 5 hit points per turn healed, and another 25% defense, or we could give them visibility range. I think we're going to carry on with the survivalism, and we're going to kill this guy here. That worked quite nicely, although it's left us in quite a weakened state, so we will be withdrawing. Of course, we get 8 culture from that, because we just killed a barbarian. You guys have finished the farm. So you are going to go and build a mine here. That will give us some extra production, which is always a nice thing to have. 3 turns away from mathematics, we will soon be able to get our catapults. And we're only 1 turn away from the Temple of Artemis, actually. I didn't think we were going to get that built, but well, I could still be proved wrong. It is still possible that we could get beaten to it. The unit needs orders. You, of course, are going to fortify until you are healed. And then we'll probably build a cargo ship just to try and get rid of this little money deficit we have going on here. Temple of Artemis has been completed. Now that's put us level pegging with the Kelts, so we're still behind on the scoreboard, but it's given us a bit more of a jump. Not going to bother with the mausoleum because I don't think it's that useful to us, and to be quite honest, somebody else has probably already started working their way towards it. What I was thinking before the cargo ship, though, is potentially going for the watermill, because that will give us some extra food and some extra production as well. But there again, the cargo ship isn't going to cost us any maintenance, so let us get the cargo ship going first. That seems like the more sensible idea now I think about it. Just keeping our eye on the Celts. Okay, mathematics is finished. I'm a little bit surprised that they haven't tried to sneak any settlers out the back. I mean, they may well have. I haven't looked up there in a little while, but that is a possibility. So we're going to open the tech tree and have a look at what we can have now. Now, I don't think anybody's actually built the statue of Zeus yet. And it would give us a bigger advantage when attacking cities. We're going to try for it. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get it, but... Well, I heard that sound and I thought, that's going to be Statue of Zeus, isn't it? But no, it was Stonehenge. Stonehenge is literally just faith, so not too important. For me, it is not one of my goals. You guys can continue to heal up. I'm quite happy for you to do that. Okay, so they do have a trade caravan going. Now, I could go and plunder that if I wanted to, but it would mean moving a unit all the way around there, and it's probably not worth it. Although it would be a lot of gold if I can catch them. What I might do is I might move my scout out to here and use my scout to try and plunder it. Because I'd get a fair bit of gold for plundering that caravan. Gold is always useful. Obviously I'm trespassing again, but we knew that was going to happen. Just keeping my eye out to make sure they haven't got like 3 warriors and archers around here. Because that would be quite embarrassing. Now I can't even build a catapult because I think catapult's about 390 or something. It's certainly more money than I have anyway. Oh look, there's their caravan. Plunder. 100 gold, thank you very much. Okay, that was worth trespassing for. So now we have 381 gold. A catapult is 390. Yep, I was right. So a unit needs orders. What are we going to do with you now? I suppose we're going to keep you up here. Just keep an eye on things, actually. Okay, worker's done. You might as well go over here and build another farm. This is the reason why I deleted the second worker, because it's very, very quick and easy just to be able to get everything built that you need to with one worker, at least very early on. Someone's founded a religion, though at this point we do not know who. Still trespassing in Kathmandu, which is upsetting them greatly, so let's move out of there. And if we stay there, we can keep an eye on the Celts, make sure they're not trying to sneak anybody out on the borders here. So we are sieging them, really, at the moment. They can't really go anywhere or do anything. So let us move on to the next turn. Still losing gold per turn, sadly, which is going to make it difficult to buy catapults and things, but we'll certainly be able to build one soon. Only a couple of turns away from having our... In fact, only one turn away from having our cargo ship. Hopefully, it's going to have enough range on it to be able to reach the city-state up top there. So that was good timing. So we can now work on the statue of Zeus. So let's try that. We also need to pick our next research. Let's go for... Let's go for calendar, because we can build a plantation and we've got the silk here, so we're going to do that. You guys are going to actually just go on to alert, and then we should have our cargo ship, which can reach Zurich, and it will give us 7 gold per turn. So that's now taken us from -3 to +4. Brilliant. So at least we've got extra gold coming in now, which means in a couple of turns we'll have enough gold to be able to build a catapult. We can have a second trade route. Problem is we're not going to be able to reach anywhere else at the moment. Obviously, we could have traded with the Celts. Now, if we look there, that actually looks like the... is that Halicarnassus? It could be. They're definitely in the process of building a wonder down there anyway. Let's go on to the next turn. Ah, that's interesting. A Mongolian trireme. Yeah, goodbye. So we're going to have to deal with Genghis Khan at some point. That is going to be fun. As you can see, we got a nice chunk of influence with Zurich because they had a mission to establish a trade route, which we managed to do. Let's go on to the next turn. Now, he's going to be a little bit of a pain to deal with. He also likes to go for city-states and attack them. That is part of the personality for Genghis Khan, so he might well take over quite a lot of the city-states. He's going to be one of the more difficult people to deal with. So, Calendar's not going to be ready for 3 turns, so I think we'll have another farm over here. And then Calendar should be finished and we can build a plantation over there. You still want peace? I'm not going to do that for you. So as you can see, she's in a bit of a position at the moment. She doesn't really have an army. She's already... Statue of Zeus has been built in a land far away, typical. As I was saying, she doesn't have an army because every time she's built something, I have destroyed it. She doesn't have any settlers or a second city because I've kept destroying them. So she isn't doing too well. So what are we going to build? Is it worth me trying to build something like the Hanging Gardens or the Mausoleum? I'm not going to bother, I don't think. We will go for the watermill. I'm also going to purchase a catapult. And then we can start to move into position and hopefully start to do some damage on Edinburgh. Now we will take quite a lot of damage, so we've got to be careful. Unit needs orders. We have our catapult. It's going to take us a little while to get there, unfortunately. Now, catapults are very weak, and you really need a couple of them to sort of make sure they don't get destroyed too quickly. But we are going to do what we can. We had now discovered Calendar. So where are we going to go next? We could go into currency and try and get some extra money coming in. Or we could go towards ironworking and get ourselves the... Heroic Epic would be nice. All newly trained non-air units in the city receive morale promotion, improving their combat strength by 15. So that's probably one of the best ones for us to go for at the moment. Then we're going to go towards horseback riding so we can get some cavalry units on the go, which is probably going to help. Also, that allows us to get Circus Maximus, which would help us with any happiness issues we might have. In fact, I think that's probably more important to have, so we're going to do that first. We're going to go straight for horseback riding because we do have horses. So you guys, we're going to continue to move forward to the line. Let's go on to the next turn. Still not an awful lot happening. See, Mausoleum of Halicarnassus built in a land far away, so I'm glad I didn't bother trying to build that. And we are getting closer. Still not an awful lot that I can do between turns. Parthenon built in a land far away. See, I'm not at the bottom of the scoreboard anymore now. I guess that's one thing. Okay, a unit needs orders. Now, we need to get you within 2 tiles, so maybe up there would be useful, but we'll see what happens. We're going to move our archers, actually. If we move them there, they'll probably get bombarded. That's a safe enough spot for them to be. We're not going to pillage the tile yet. We'll only do that if we need to. Unit needs orders. You're going to move forward to there. Now, the problem you have with catapults is they do require 1 movement to set up before they can start to fire. So we're going to test this out and see how much damage we take, if any, from Edinburgh. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this catapult forward 1. We have to set up for an attack, which means we don't get to shoot on this turn, which is a bit of a shame. We're also going to move our archers forward, and of course they're moving into the forest, which doesn't help. Choose production. We are going to build ourselves another catapult. My workers are going to move here and build the plantation. Now let's go on to the next turn and see what happens. So of course we're getting shot at by the city. They do have archers in there as well, so that could be our catapult gone. And it very, very nearly is. Now, the problem I'm going to have here is even if I try and attack with the catapult is going to get killed. And then I am going to lose the catapult and have to build another one. So I'm going to retreat with both of those. They're still pretty much pinned down. They can't do anything. So the catapult's going to heal up. And you guys are going to build the plantation. So they're still in a really bad position. They can't really do anything, but I need to get more units in before I can even attempt to take them out, because they have a garrisoned unit there. They can just do too much damage. What I need to do is have 2, maybe 3 catapults, take them all in at the same time, and then it gives them multiple targets. They can only shoot at one at once, which means that the other 2 will be able to do a fair amount of damage without taking any damage themselves. The problem I have with this catapult is if it takes 1 turn to move in and set up, and 1 turn to fire. Now, if I'd have stayed there and fired on this turn, then that would have used all their movement. They wouldn't have been able to retreat. They're already at less than half health, which means they wouldn't do as much damage as a fully healed catapult anyway. They would then get destroyed on the following turn, and the city would just heal back up to full health within a turn or 2, and it wouldn't be really worth doing it. It'd just be me feeding them catapults. So there we go. That's about all I can do for now. We are definitely starting to pin them down. Once we have these guys here, we'll have another coastal city, and this island will pretty much be our own, apart from the city-states. Of course, we don't know what's over here yet, but we will have a look over there as soon as we have dealt with the Celts. But there you go, guys. I hope you're enjoying the series so far, and I'll see you next time. So until then, goodbye for now.